Hi, everybody. Welcome to yoga today, and bittersweet. This will be our last class for a little while, undetermined amount of time, because November I will be going back to surf camp, which I'm really excited about and totally nervous. It's been 2 years almost since I worked at the surf camp, but I'm pretty sure I remember how to teach surfing. I definitely remember how to teach yoga, so at least I've got that covered. And I thought to end it off, that we would do a class that we've done before. One of my favorite classes is Harnessing the Power of the Ocean. So in homage to me going away to surf camp. So you don't need any special props, but of course have them nearby if you know that you love using your blocks and lunges and stuff like that. So let's start in our favorite position. I don't know if it's your favorite, but it's mine. I could just Shavasana all day, but my daughter doesn't let me. So get down on your back. And of course, if Shavasana is not somewhere that you want to start, it's not your favorite position, you can do this little centering part. You can always do it seated. Okay, because I really do want this practice to be for you. Right, so you tailor it to suit your needs. What does your body need? And you can see I'm bending my knees, but of course you have option to extend your legs long or add any props. You want to get comfortable here. I want you to just fidget around, right? You don't have to be still right away. You fidget, you adjust your shoulder blades, your pelvis. And when you start to feel comfortable and like you're settling into this pose, you can go ahead and close your eyes. And you're going to take a little vacation. All right, you're going to transport yourself. You're going to visualize that you're on your favorite beach. Any beach. It could be an imaginary one. It could be one that you visited many years. Maybe you live there. I'm just going to conjure up that feeling of being on the beach. That's the feeling yourself sinking into the sand. I'm just feeling how you can ground, connect, and leave a little imprint on your beach. And start to notice your natural breath. You're not changing your breath in any way, but you're just following it like little waves in and out of the body. And you start to notice the buoyancy of your inhale and the sinking of your exhale. And of course, as you breathe, your body is shifting shape, right? It's expanding and it's condensing. So that would change the imprint in the sand, right? So this seemingly static posture is actually quite dynamic. And as you just let yourself arrive to this moment on your beautiful little beach, I'm going to read you a quote. We learn to inhale completely and open to new experience. We learn to exhale completely and let go of unnecessary tension in the past. And we learn to rest in the pauses in between the arising and dissolving cycle of breath. And just like a surfer out on the ocean swell, we start to align ourselves with the ebb and flow of life rather than fight against it. So let's see if we can do that in our practice. Let that be our intention today. Just kind of flowing with what is. And on that next wave of inhale, you're going to take your arms overhead and you can lengthen your legs if your knees are bent. And then stay here for a couple breaths in a full body stretch, just moving in any way that feels good. Just waking the body up. Oh, one of my favorite things to do. We always start this way. Oh, it just feels so good. And when you're ready, you'll take an exhale to hug the knees to the chest. So whenever you're ready, you don't have to let me rush you. If you want to linger in that full body stretch a little longer, feel your freedom. And when you do make your way to the hug, you can be still or you can flow, you can move. And I just want you to notice not just the physical sensations of stretch, but also just how we're holding ourselves. Right? Here to give ourselves what we need, those little hugs when we need them. And then taking the soles of the feet to the earth. And we're going to open our feet wide. We're going to do our windshield wiper, just letting our knees flow left and right. My feet are about as wide as my mat. I'm just going to move my water glass so I don't spill that. And this is a great way to wake up our hips before we come into seated. Right? Because sometimes sitting on the floor before we've kind of opened up our hips can be a little challenging. And we're also getting a nice little massage. You'll feel the weight transferring along the back of the pelvis. So getting circulation in our pelvis, our hips, down into our legs, such a great way to wake the body up. And let's prepare to come up to seated, making your way there, however is comfortable for you. Maybe rolling to the side or just rolling forward with momentum. And coming into your version of Sukhasana, which means easy seated pose. So you might need a prop under your bum. You might need to pull the fleshy bits back in a way. You might need to do something different than I'm doing, right? I'm crossing my legs this morning. Maybe you're stacking or extending legs. You want to feel pelvis neutral so that you can sit tall with ease, right? Try not to fight yourself. So if the pelvis is tucking under or it's tipping forward, we're going to have to fight that. Find that neutral pelvis. And then just start to loop the shoulders onto the back. So you start to smile through your collarbones, open up that heart. Okay, so it's not an exaggerated loop back. We find that balance between effort and ease. And then let's start to warm up the neck, just dropping a little bit of weight through the right ear, chin down across the chest. Left ear rolls over to left shoulder. You're going to go back and forth, own pace. You can just imagine that your head moving as a little wave, washing up on the shore and then gently receding. And maybe your breath synchronizes to that movement. Maybe it doesn't. At any point in this practice, if you're familiar with the Ujjayi breath, that low, deep, audible breath, you can always bring that into this practice, especially if something gets challenging. Sometimes Ujjayi is known as the sea sounding breath because it sounds like waves. Right? You just slightly constrict the back of your throat and you feel and you hear the breath as it enters and exits the body. The next time your chin comes down to your chest, then you're going to lift your gaze, come back to neutral. Let's take hands in front of heart. I'm just setting an intention for your day, anything personal that you're working on, you're trying to cultivate more of in your life. We're just going to invite that to flow into our lives. So again, it's about that balance between effort and ease. And let's, on the inhale, take the arms out and up, reach through your fingertips. Let's do that a couple times. Nice big sweeping circles. So join the palms, hands come in front of the heart. And you could do this with breath, right? Use the buoyancy of the inhale to lift the arms, exhale, joining palms, drawing that energy to your heart. Match your own movement, your own breath. When you get to the top of your next inhale, on the exhale, you'll take your right hand to the earth without any sense of urgency. We're just going to hold for a breath and get the shoulders down. Maybe 2 breaths or 3. And then let's inhale, exhale over to the other side. And we're going to hold it here for just a couple breaths. Getting those shoulders down out of the ears, nice long spine, noticing where you feel the stretch. And then we're going to flow. So you're going to use inhales to come up, exhale, you flow to the opposite side. And you're just going to go at your own pace. And I want your arms to be nice and soft. And use this imagery that you were some seaweed or kelp, just kind of flowing with the currents of the ocean. Right? Ebbing and flowing back and forth. You might notice that your breath just kind of naturally deepens and your movement might need to slow down to match the breath. You can always enjoy those little pauses at the top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale. And when your right hand kisses the earth, then you're going to stay there. And again, don't let me rush you. Take your time. And then we're going to start to inhale. Take left arm back, open up your heart. You're squeezing your shoulder blades together. And then exhale, we're going to thread that hand in between body and opposite arm, opening up that space between our shoulder blades. We're just going to flow between those two positions, the heart opening on the front and then on the back on the exhale. Now, I'm adding a little extra here. I'm just kind of wiggling my fingers and rotating my wrist on that left hand because that feels really nice. Kind of imagining that I'm a mermaid underwater. Been training my whole life to be a mermaid. Okay, use your next inhale to bring both hands up. Let's flow other side. You can just pause for a second, get the shoulders down out of the ears, and then you can start to find that sequence on the other side. Inhale to open the heart, exhale to find that little twist. It's more of a twist in our thoracic spine, our upper spine. You're going to feel this behind your shoulder blades. So I tend to have a lot of little sticky knots back there, and this one is so good for releasing that tension. This side's a little tighter for me. I'm actually going to back out a little bit. I was a little too deep and I was just kind of gritting my teeth together, pushing through, and then realized, why am I doing that? Back out, less is more. Oh, it's way better. Okay, next inhale, you're gonna bring both arms up. And exhale, we're gonna take hands down to the earth. Stretch those legs out. I'm sure they need some love. Twinkle your toes, bounce your knees, roll your legs. You can always do the self-massage too, massaging. Just encouraging blood flow and circulation down into the lower body. Now we're going to do something that's going to strengthen our lower body. I'm going to give you two options. So this first option is not going to be friendly for everybody's wrist. So watch, and if you think, no, that's a no-go for my wrist, I'll give you the next option. So we're going to flow from reverse table just up and down. So there's lots of different ways we can do this. We can have fingers facing forward. That's going to be a deep flex for your wrist because we're going to lift up into reverse table. You can also do it with your fingers facing back. Okay, for some people that's going to feel better. You can also have your fingers facing out to the sides. For some people that's going to work better. And for some people that's just a no-go, you don't want to go there at all, then you're going to come and do your bridge. Okay, so we just take the wrists right out of it and you still get the beautiful strengthening for the lower body. So give it a go, see where you're going to be happiest. And then just start to find your flow. Use the buoyancy of the inhale to lift up. And whichever posture you're choosing, you're trying not to let your knees splay open. And then on your exhales, you're going to lower down with control. Okay, so it's strengthening. If you're doing reverse table, we're getting the arms strengthening as well as the lower body. And really use that breath to help you. Think buoyant inhale, lifting, exhale, sinking down. And if it becomes too much, you can always switch to doing your bridge and try to keep your gaze towards your belly button or your knees. For very few, it feels good to hang the head back. I'm going to say that's a no-go for my neck. Maybe looking up to the ceiling would work for me, but I feel a little bit more comfortable keeping my gaze down towards my knees. Okay, when you come to the top of your next inhale, you're going to hold it for a couple breaths, and I really want you to feel that power. So whether you're at the top of your bridge or this reverse table, okay, root down through your feet, push up through your hip points. You can hear the work in my voice. All right, and on your next exhale, slowly lower down. If you're on your back, you're going to hug your knees to your chest. And if you're seated on your tush, then you're going to take your arms around your knees and you're just going to give yourself a little hug, let your head relax. And breathe into your lower back and tell yourself something nice. Good, and then slowly coming out of that embrace. If you're down on your back, you're going to come up through seated. And we're going to come onto all fours. And I know some of you can't be on your knees, so for the sequence, if that's, having pressure on your knees doesn't work, then you're going to improvise here and do your favorite thing. Maybe you're on your back and, just giving yourself a little hug. So we're going to push back into a child's pose. And we're going to reach our hands forward. And then we're going to start to flow with our breath. So on the inhale, I want you to ripple forward. So you're coming up through hands and knees. And then you're going to shift into a low plank. Okay, so you're not letting your hips sag. You're finding that power line. And then on your exhale, you're going to shift back into your child's pose. So you're going to inhale, ripple forward. Exhale, rippling back. We're just checking in. Please don't do this if it's not good for your knees, right? It's not a requirement. We're just kind of waking up some core strength. And the next time you come forward into your plank, just set it up so you feel like you're supported, right? This could also not be super friendly for wrists. You could always come down onto forearms or go up on your fist. I'm tucking my toes. You can have your feet flat if that feels okay. And then you're just holding that plank, drawing your belly button towards your spine. Breathe into your upper rib cage, your back body. Your head is a beautiful extension of your spine. And if you want, you can just kind of drop through one hip, look over opposite shoulder. Just kind of sway side to side. And then come through center and exhale, let's take it back. Tops of the feet to the mat, child's pose. We're going to come into a little side stretch. So you're going to take your gaze towards your fingertips and just walk your hands off the left side of your mat. And then let yourself snuggle back down to the earth. And if you're having, your forehead feels like it's floating really high, then stack your left hand underneath of your forehead and keep reaching through those right fingertips. And tack a little bit of weight through that right side. So imagine that right hip, butt cheek just feeling a little heavy, right armpit melting towards the earth. So let's prepare to come through center. You can take your gaze forward, walk your hands through center and over off the right side of the mat. And then let yourself snuggle down to the earth again. Add any padding under your forehead if it's floating with your right fist. And just feeling that delicious opening through left side body. And do those little micro movements, just imagining some weight through your left armpit and hip, encouraging that gentle opening. Now let's prepare to come back through center. Take the gaze up, walk the hands through center. And we're going to ripple forward. And let's come down onto our bellies. You might need to scooch back so you're not kissing your carpet or the floor. And just take a belly shavasana. Make a little hand pillow, rest your forehead or your chin or your cheek on your hands, and rock your hips a little side to side. If you want to take that deeper, you could bend your knees and you could windshield wiper your legs side to side. And then coming up to all fours, slide your hands back by your rib cage. Start to peel your body up away from the earth. I'm going to give you a knee-friendly option after I demonstrate the non-knee friendly option. We're going to come into a lunge, right foot forward. And you're going to put some padding under your back knee and make sure your front knee is lined up over the ankle. Okay, so we're going to do our hip flossing. And I like to curl my toes under to stabilize that back knee. Of course, some people like to have top of the foot on the mat, and that's okay. Just make sure, feel what you feel in your knee. And we're just going to go into a flexibility lunge where we're pressing our hips forward. And then we're going to exhale and shift back. Let you see, you can lift your toes and you can bow your head, say hello to your hamstring. And so you're just going to flow forward and back. I call this the hip floss. Now, if that's not knee friendly, you're going to be on your back. You guys just flow. And you can do this with your left knee bent and your right leg up. And you can just begin to bend your knee and then straighten it. So you get that hamstring stretched and then bend and straighten. You could also practice this left leg long. That's going to be more intense. Okay, so see where you're at. You always got options here to play with. And the next time you come forward into your lunge, okay, so I'm demonstrating regular way here. We're going to do a little booty drop. So we're going to start to pour the weight into either the left fingertips or the palms. You're going to start to activate your toes by flexing your right toes back towards you. And then you're just going to lean a little to the left. I'll do this forward so you can see. Look like this if I'm mirroring. And you can start to roll to the outer edge of your foot. Lean into your left hand. Little booty drop and a little hip opener. Giving you a whole bunch of different angles to see what that looks like. And you're just basically finding something that feels good, okay? And this is getting into your outer hip, right? You're feeling this down, that outside of the hip, gluteus medius, that the muscle on the outside there. And if you're on your back, knee-friendly version, you could do a thread the needle here if you wanted. Let's start to mindfully come out of that. Nice and slow. And you're going to move back to a rest pose. So that might be down dog if you're looking for a little bit more active rest. It could be child's pose. It could be belly shavasana. Or if you're on your back, you could just be hugging your knees to your chest. And if you're in down dog right now, I want you to enjoy it. I want you to dance in your down dog by just swaying your hips or, alternating, lifting and lowering your heels. And let's come into that sequence on the other side. So you know what's going to work for your body, whether you're doing the knee-friendly version or the lunge version. Just take your time. It's going to be left foot forward now, and you're setting yourself up, right? Knee over ankle, back knee is taken care of with enough padding. And then you're going to start to flow. So for me, it feels natural to inhale forward, exhale back. If the opposite breath is true for you, I don't really care as long as you're breathing. I just want you to flow and let the breath synchronize in any way that feels good. You're always allowed to pause somewhere if you just need a little extra time in one position. And the next time you flow into your lunge, then we're going to do that little booty drop move. It's kind of like a lizard pose, but it's important that we flex those front toes, especially in this lunge position, because you're going to start to open your knee to the side, and you're going to start to drop the weight into your right hand. You're just going to roll. You can see my back foot. I'm just kind of rolling to the outside edge of both feet. I'm just taking it to a place that it feels really delicious. Okay, so I'm not pushing anything. So of course that's going to look different for everybody. You know, some people it might just be a centimeter off center. Who cares? And let's mindfully start to come out of it. You know, your gaze comes down to the mat. You start to come through center, and you're going to make your way back to your rest pose. It could be different on this side. It doesn't have to be the same. Well, maybe you're feeling more of a child's pose or more active. Or maybe you just need to flop down onto your belly. Do a little belly shavasana. And just start to catch your breath. Notice if your breath became shallow. And start to encourage that wave of breath down into your belly again. And we're going to make our way up to standing. So just take your time. I want you to get there. Functional movement, however feels right. You know, every day is different. I'm going to pause in a toe squat here. Just getting creative, stretching out your body, pausing when necessary. And we're going to come into Tadasana, our mountain pose, and we're going to do a palm tree vinyasa, suited for our little beach theme here. So rooting down through the four corners of the feet, we're going to inhale the arms up, interlace your fingers and roll your palms up to the sky. And when you straighten your elbows, just notice what happens to your shoulders. Can you still keep your shoulders down? I have a hard time with that. So I'm going to invite a bend into the elbows to keep those shoulders down, neck free of tension. Still getting a beautiful stretch through my chest and my armpits. So good for our immune system. Good. And then we're going to lift up onto our tippy toes. So you can focus on something in front of you that's not moving. I would suggest don't choose me. I'm going to be swaying around. Oh. And you might need to come down and up a couple times, right? We're just challenging our balance. Using all those little stabilizer muscles. Good, and then lower your heels. And I want you to keep those heels rooted. So now you feel the weight kind of shift back into your heels. You can wiggle your toes, they feel free. And then we're going to just dive over to the right. Good, on an inhale, come up through center. Exhale, dive over to the left. Keep those shoulders down, nice. Keep the heart open, chest open. We're not rounding into it. Okay, imagine that you were squished between two panes of glass. Good. Inhale, coming up. We're going to break free with the hands and turn your palms up like you were balancing something on your palms. And again, you can invite softness into the elbows. So if, you know, straightening out through the joints creates the shoulders to pop up, keep those shoulders relaxed and down. And then we're going to do a twist. We're just going to twist over to the right. And I want this to be an honest twist. We're just twisting the upper body. I don't want your lower body doing the work. So add a little boundary through the pelvis. And imagine you're moving from your sternum. You're moving from your gaze. You're maybe looking over to the right. And notice if the arms get helpful, like the arms start to drift over. Okay, the arms just stay where they are. It's coming from the torso, the movement. It's so easy to want to go a little deeper in this one with those little helpers, right? So little boundary on the helpers, pure movement. It's almost like our upper body and our lower body's twisting in two different directions, right? Lower body's stabilizing and the upper body's twisting to right. Good. On an inhale, let's come back through center. Belly releases. Exhale, belly button to spine, and we're going to go into the twist on the other side. Yeah, we're feeling this in our arms, I bet. Feel a strength in your arms. Just let them kind of float out. Feel that little squeeze at your center as you're twisting yourself. So good for our digestive system. And see if you can invite a little bit more ease into this. Where do you need to soften a little bit? Shoulders. Okay, we're still breathing. It's not probably going to reach all the way down to the lower belly as easily because we're twisted. But that's also giving us that internal massage, that visceral massage, improving organ function. Notice when the hips want to drift. Okay, let's come out on the inhale. It's going to feel so good. Inhale coming through center. Exhale, lower those arms and throw a tantrum. Shake it out. Ugh. Get the circulation flowing into those muscles. Oh, my biceps were working hard there. And then settle into Tadasana, mountain posture, and just rotate your palms forward. Receive some of that tingly energy. Maybe you got a little smile on your face, and you can close your eyes and enjoy that inner landscape, you know, different colors and shapes that arise. And again, just let your breath settle down into the belly. Good. Opening the eyes. And we're going to step our feet out wide for a forward fold. And you want to have your toes slightly in, heels slightly out. So you're a little pigeon-toed, and that's just a slight inward rotation at your upper thigh. And soften up through the backs of the knees. Okay, so we're not locking the knee. And then start to fold at your hip crease. And come to a position where you can keep a nice long extended back. Okay, so if you start to touch the ground and your spine has to deeply round, then I'm going to ask that you back out. And we're going for honesty here. So that might be hands on your thighs, hands on a block, maybe fingertips on a block. And then we're just going to loosen it up. We're going to bend into one knee and then the other. We're just going to flow a little bit. We're just going to kind of let go of the form and let ourselves flow. Sometimes I like to imagine that I'm painting the floor with really long hair, like a little paintbrush, just kind of letting my body flow side to side and my head. Sometimes I like to get a little bit more into a ninja stretch. And then we're going to exhale, sink down through the middle. And just be still for a little bit. Feeling all the effects of that inversion, right? The heaviness in your head, the flush in your face. Let's prepare to come up nice and slow. We've been down here a while, so we've got all that blood in our head. So let's start to bend our knees and just start to come up to flat back position, your chin tucked towards your heart. You're using your core. And then you're going to press into your feet and you're going to start to slowly lift up so that we can just let our blood pressure equalize, slowly. When you get to the top, if you're really dizzy, exhale O mouth, like you're blowing out birthday candles. Good job. And feel that beautiful glow in your face. And heel toe your feet together. We're going to come into a yogi squat. Let me adjust my camera. And I've got lots of options for you because coming down into the squat is not accessible very easily for a lot of different bodies. So let's just take it little by little. So first option would be just a squat, taking your bum back and down and taking your hands to your thighs. Okay, and your knees, always try to stay in line with your toes. So maybe some people that toes are out, others might have toes straight. Just you're seeing what works for your body. And then we might be able to get a little further down with the help of our yoga mat, creating a little roll. Okay, something for your heels to go on. Okay, so just elevating the heels a little bit, you might be able to get your bum down a little further, like a froggy squat. And maybe you have fingertips on the earth. And for some of us, coming right down into the squat might be fully accessible and easy, but you want to take care of your knees because this is a deep hip opening position. And if you don't have the flexibility in your hips, then your knees could take the brunt, and we don't want that. So make sure your knees feel okay wherever you are. If you're in the higher squat, you're using muscle. Us down here just kind of hanging out in the squat, we're more just hanging out in flexibility. So you guys are working actually harder the higher up you are. You can just give yourself a little pat on the back, like, yeah. Good. And we're gonna all come out of the squat just at our own time, and you're gonna come into a forward fold. Okay, so whenever you're ready, you're just gonna let yourself come out of it. Take your bum up, let your toes face straight forward, especially if they were fanned out a little bit. And just let yourself have a nice little waterfall position. Weight in your heels. Just let your body hang. You can let your head nod and a little yes and a little no. Let's start to make our way down to seated. And again, I just want you to do some functional movement and get there however you can. It might be graceful, it might not be. I'm coming into easy seated pose. And if you go to do your habitual cross, then I want you to take the awkward cross. So at the beginning of the class, we just did our habitual side. And when you take the awkward one, you're gonna know, because you're gonna be like, oh, that feels funky. And then find that easy seated pose. And we're gonna do a quick little seated meditation with a mudra, hand yoga. I'll come a little closer so you can see the mudra. We're gonna do shell mudra. So you're gonna take, I'm going to mirror you guys. So you're gonna take your right hand and you're gonna make a little U. And then you're gonna take your left fingers and wrap them around that thumb and stick up your left thumb like you're hitching a ride somewhere. And then you're gonna close the fingers around that little shape. And you should get something that looks like a little conch shell. Okay, so you're gonna have a different version maybe. Your hands will look a little different than mine. And you're gonna take that conch shell and you're just gonna let it nestle in towards your heart. Maybe it's further out, maybe it's touching, whatever's comfortable for your body. And you're gonna start to close your eyes. And imagine some imaginary roots through your sits bones into the earth. Start to notice the buoyancy of your inhale And the sinking and the settling of your exhale. I love this mudra because the symbolism is beautiful. So the thumb that's inside is a little pearl of wisdom. It's also could be our true self, right? Our wholeness. And there's a mantra. So as you just let yourself sit here and breathe, I'm going to say the mantra 3 times. And you can let the words just kind of wash over you and see how they land in your body, what it means to you. I use thoughts and words of strength and love, and everything that I think and speak comes back to me. I use thoughts and words of strength and love, and everything that I think and speak comes back to me. I use thoughts and words of strength and love, and everything that I think and speak comes back to me. And if your mind starts to drift away on an adventure, just gently bring it back to the breath. And maybe you feel the breath on the edge of your nostrils. Okay, how it's kind of cool as it enters and a little bit humid and a little bit more warm as it exits. We're going to start to shift slowly out of this, but if you're really digging being here, then you're always welcome to stay here in seated meditation. And otherwise, we're going to start to transition slowly just by releasing the mudra. So releasing your hands, maybe take your hands down to your knees, palms up, and then just wiggle your fingers. And keep that nice sense of connectedness and calmness just from that short little meditation you cultivated. And when you're ready, you can start to slowly make your way down onto your back, preparing for Shavasana. And of course, you're always welcome to stay seated. And if you need anything extra before you come into Shavasana, if you need a little stretch or a twist or a happy baby, right? Remember, this practice is for your body. You listen to it. You listen to that little pearl of wisdom from your body. What does it need? And eventually you'll be ready to come into Shavasana, and you just set yourself up in a way that you feel comfortable. Add any extra layers if you feel chilly. Take any layers off if you feel hot. Allow yourself that time to fidget and adjust. And when you find that place of comfort, let yourself sink into that. Just lean into it. And start to bring awareness back to the breath. Feeling the rise and fall of the breath. And start to invite a slightly deeper breath into the body and let that inspire some gentle movement, whether it's in your fingers or your toes or your head. And just enjoying a little bit of time of integration, right? Slowly coming back into your body. And start to come back into your space, the room that you're in, or maybe you're outside. Just becoming aware of your surroundings. Moving in any way that the body needs before you start to roll over to one side. Just pause for a moment here, right? And just in savoring this time. And reflecting on how you feel. Remembering your intention for the day. What are you inviting in? What are you inviting to flow into your life? And as you feel ready, you're going to help yourself up to seated. You just take your time. You can keep your eyes closed, or maybe they open and then you close them again once you come to seated. We'll close our practice together, just feeling that energy in at our heart, palms together, and bowing forward. I honor you. Namaste.